12 miles from Leesburg, Florida is the home of our next historic haunt. The Bay Street Players have made the historic State Theater in Eustis their home for over 40 years. But it sounds like it's the home to some characters, shall we say.
This is the original orchestra. It did open in 1922. It was originally a vaudeville house, and so that's why inside the acoustics are terrific, and it's gotten bigger since then. They've expanded the seating and so forth since then. Then in the late 1930s, it transitioned into a silent movie theater, and then it became had the first talkie. Was Al Jolson's The Jazz Singer in 1938, 1939, and it premiered here first in Florida before it started making its rounds as to like the other regional theaters. By the 1950s, 60s, 70s, it started to fall by the wayside and then eventually closed down. In 1974, 1975, there's a group of local actors, directors, practitioners of the arts who came in and they got a grant of some kind, and they spent the whole summer, they're renovating it, they had to clean up tons and tons of stuff. They opened in 1975 as the Bay Street Players with the show Hello Dolly, which was the very first show that was ever presented here.
So an old building like this must have a lot of history. Can you tell us a little bit of the folklore that you've heard about?
As far as the supernatural folklore, where can we begin? Well, a building like this, it's almost 100 years old. It carries a lot of stories, and you never know what they are. There's probably some kernel of truth behind it somewhere, but where it came from, it's almost generation to generation. It changes here and there. There was an incident that supposedly happened where there was a projectionist who lived upstairs, and this was a time when jobs were very scarce in the area. The projectionist happened to be black, so these white people who were aggravated, I think it was just a few of them who were aggravated about this, came in and went upstairs and shot him while he was taking a shower. I think his name was Sam. I think that's the backstory, because one of the supposed ghosts or alleged ghosts in the building is referred to as Sam, and Sam, to me, has always been described as like the ticked off spirit. Scenic designer. He will absolutely, if he's by himself here, he will be on the stage, or he'll go to the bathroom and go right back to the stage. He won't go upstairs. He won't go into the pit, the dungeon, is referred to beneath the stage, which was originally the old orchestra pit. And we have, it's just like storage now, but he won't go down. It doesn't matter what he hears. He's like, nope, not gonna do it. Another was, and this is actually a more recent incident that happened, where in summer of 2012, the theater was doing the show Camelot. Well, one night after a performance, someone had left the stage door open in the back, and no big deal, and there was downtown here, the businesses are all very close. So another business said, hey, they called the cops saying, hey, the door's open, and they just wanted to be safe. And so the police showed up however many minutes later, and they got here apparently before any of the theater's first responders got here. Police came through the stage doors. The theater was completely dark, black, and they came around the back, and they had flashlights, and they were looking and whatnot. And when they were now on the stage for the show Camelot, there was it was a musical, had a lot of locations, so there wasn't like a static set. So they had like a central tower that was in the middle of the stage. And then there were other little bits that would be brought on and off. One of them happened to be Guinevere's swing that she would swing in when she was singing to King Arthur or whatever. And so when the cops came through in the building, and they're like kind of looking with the flashlight, according to the cops, that swing was just swinging away with nobody in it. And they just said, yep, we're out. There's actually a police report on that if you go to the Eustis Police Department, where there's like objects were moving around. But yes, that's some of the local, like the lore that about the theater.
Check out BayStreetPlayers.org to learn more about their upcoming productions and to buy tickets. Who knows, you might get a spooktacular encore. When we come back, we're teaming up with the Beyond Investigators to investigate our next 2 local haunts. When Historic Haunts of Lake County returns, we're off to the southern gateway to the Ocala National Forest, Umatilla, Florida. We'll be right back.